Hi, and welcome to our review of round 5 with helpful hints moving into round 6 of the Zoom simulation. So you can see here for net profits per team that we've started around $50 million in net profits, and now some teams are getting net profits above $250 million, and majority of the teams beating $200 million in net profits. If we look at points per team, we have two teams here that really shot up in points. So team 34 did very poorly in round 4, but they're able to turn things around and make back, a huge amount of the points that they lost in round 4. And similar thing with team 24. So team 24 lost some points and they turned things around. So how did they turn things around? Well, they played practice games. They met as a team. They watched the videos I create, and they were able to really correct for the mistakes they made, which is I'm hoping that Team 29 does. Team 29 did not do so bad in previous rounds. I can't find, but they did really bad last round. So we'll look at what happened to Team 29, and hopefully they can turn things around for the last round. If we look at you see Team 29 here, stock price was the only company whose stock price went down. We have a new leader in stock price, Team 41, followed by Team 10, Team 5, and Team 37, with Team 39 trailing at the bottom here. So is this Team 29? Okay. Team 39 is the bottom. Team 29 is second. But Team 29 is the only one that lost stock price. Okay, let's look at sales per team. We see here that Team 29 sales actually went down from 411 to 397. This tells me they're not looking at the student user guide, which gives you good forecasts. If you look at Team 39 last round, they really turned it around and they were able to greatly increase their sales, as did Team 24. This is one of the reasons they had their sales shot up. They're in here somewhere, Team 24, 846,000 they doubled their sales. That's what happens when you pay attention, you listen to my videos, you watch, you read the user manual, you could really escalate your sales. And we have a new number 1 in sales this week, which is Team 4, followed by Team 20 and Team 12, all doing great in sales. Earnings per share, we have Team 41, followed by Team 5, and Team 10, all great earnings per share. Only 2 companies had lower earnings per share. We had Team 11 and Team 29, which pretty much almost had no earnings per share. So this, I think with Team 29, what happened is, I'm not sure, but I'm thinking they probably taking turns doing the simulation, and the student who worked on it this week probably wasn't as skilled as the previous students who did it previous weeks. And this is one of the dangers of letting one person do the whole round by themselves and not working as a team together. Okay. So if we look at, so here's the current round points. We had 2 teams of above almost 800 points, close to 800 points or higher, and plenty of teams with 500 points or 400 points, which is the goal. If we look at gross margin, we have some teams are in the upper 60% of gross margin, which, anybody that's 60% or higher is doing excellent in gross margin. And if you're in the 50s, you're right where you should be for round 5. Round 6, you should shoot for the 60 percentile. And only one team, remember, you started at 40% gross profit margins. So if you're still in the 40% area, you're not really doing well for your company. And especially if you go backwards in your gross profit margins, which I've said in every video, you have to get those gross profit margins up every round to make points. If they go down, you lose points. If we look at total points, many teams have surpassed the minimum points required. We have a whole host of teams already made that minimum points to get an A in this project. And they still have a round to go. So anybody who has 2,000 points or higher, which is all but 3 teams, you're in pretty good position to make the minimum points required to get the full score for this. But even if you've made the minimum points, you don't want to stop now. You don't want to lose points. So you have to take round year 6 or Y-6 just as seriously to complete. Okay. So in a lot of these return on assets, net profit margin, sales revenue, these are all talked about in chapter 3 of our textbook. Okay, let's move into the next round. So let's go to, so you should again review your, this is an example team. So what you should do is review, start with your company page. Is everyone's email set in here? Are you putting your team, this is the last round to write your team cooperation. So if you have any team member that didn't cooperate or didn't participate at all during the simulation, log that in here so I get that information. You create your, you may want to change your mission statement, but I'm going to go to Or Review and see for this team, sales went up 41%, quick ratio improved, debt ratio improved, gross profit margin went from 61 to 68, which is a 12% increase. Operating profit margin went up 24%, and net profit margin went up 24%, all earning points. So when you increase your profit margins, then that's going to help your return on equity, earnings per share, return on assets, market capitalization, and book value per share. So I earned a lot of points in those areas. Total asset turnover and return on assets, I didn't earn as many points because I took on a lot of assets that round, which should pay off in this last round as I'm going to utilize those assets to make more profits. Forecasts were pretty much on target, and there was a operational investments were made, and there was a surplus, giving this team 500 points for a total of 2,700 points. So how do you move into the next round? You check out your assessments, you review your charts, you look at the industry, check out what the best teams did, review your financials, which are backed up, and these we went over in chapter 3 and 4, so you should be pretty well versed in how to read financials. And then you begin again in your sales area. So now, like I say every video, check the student manual. And when you're looking at the student manual, scroll down to the forecast area. This is why I can never understand why someone didn't forecast properly, because I talk about this every class. So year 6, this is what we're shooting for year 6. Okay, so these are the averages that most likely you can forecast above or below that. So if I'm going in to create each car, I'm gonna hope to do better in my forecasting. And I have a total, my operational cost reductions went from 9,000 to 12,000. So I should be able to make a more profitable car. Yes, now peaking at 80% profit margin. What if I made the price lower? I still have I'm going to make the price lower to make the car a little bit more in demand and still have a pretty good profit margin here. Moving into sedan class. And I'm going to strive to improve the car. Okay, so here we see I was not able to beat the profit margin, even though I have a bigger operational cost reduction. So I'm going to have to pull back a little bit. Okay, so I got this up by 2%. Still not great. Okay, so it's improving, but not as much as I would have hoped. Move on. Let's going to move on to truck now. And let's see. And I'm not even putting any thought. I'm just kind of putting these numbers quick. So I'm not saying you should copy exactly what I'm doing. But my goal here, of course, is to improve these profit margins. Here I went up 4%. And let me do sedan now. But I'm also, at the same time, greatly improving the quality of the car. And that's why my profit margins are falling, because I'm spending a lot of money to improve the quality of the car. Okay. So I did improve the quality of the car, but I'm still I'm a few percentage points up, which is what I want. I don't want to be anywhere below. And put my forecast in there. Okay, so I'm touching that 70 percentile. Here, I should probably work a little bit more to try to get, it's still up by 4 percentage points. This is so here I'm up by about 6 percentage points. Here I'm only up 3. So and now I got it to 4. Here I'm up by 4 percentage points. And here I'm up by 3. See if I can get this to 4. Okay, I got it up to, well, it's still a little bit over 3. But now remember, the reflective observations are even more important this round, because this is the last round. This is where they lock in, and I'm definitely double checking them after this round to make sure that you completed them. So you could lose points if you don't complete all the reflective observations, especially for this round. Okay, I'm going to submit the sales. I'm going to pass over marketing and go into operations, because marketing takes a really long time to do, and I'm just trying to pretty much spend something between the upper and lower limits of the budget for this semester, this year. Okay, now I'm in production, and I'm going to have to buy a production plant here. I've maxed out my operational investments, so I'm not going to buy anything there, nor should I sell them. Here I'm going to buy 3 production plants. And here I'll have to buy 1 production plant. I'm always trying to make the excess shortage 0. And my forecasts are a little aggressive. You should decide for yourself what's the best forecast for your company. Mine are pretty aggressive, which means I might have some unsold cars that last round. Okay, so now let's see where I have a pretty healthy surplus. So I'm going to buy back them. I'm going to retire the maximum I can in, which I believe is about 50% of the total. So I'm going to try to retire the maximum of each area here. Okay. And that should help. So if I retire funds, long-term, short-term, will help my debt ratios. And if I buy back stock, that'll help all my per share variables. Okay. Now, I'm going to complete this. So I'm done with round 6, as you should start working around 6. And please watch all my previous videos for more information about how to work in the simulation, what's important, what you're trying to do, how it ties into the class. And I wish everybody the best of luck for this last round. And let's hope that we're shooting for everyone to get full points on this, full score. So make sure you meet with your team and work as hard as you can on this last round. Okay, thanks for listening and take care.